I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be cheek kissing will lead to you getting ignored. Well, I've got an email here from a viewer. But first, I've got a quote that I want to share with you from Jack Canfield. And this is important. This is something that's important to understand about pickup, dating, seduction. At the end of the day, attraction is not a choice. On a scale of 1 to 10, the average woman that meets you, she knows within 3 seconds whether you're a 5 or better on her physical attraction scale. So in other words, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're at least a 5 or better, you got a shot at getting her to fall in love with you. If it's 4 and below, you ain't got a chance and you need to just move on. But at the end of the day, if you talk to 100 different women, if you ask out 100 different women on dates, women that are single, you're going to get a certain percentage of those who are going to say yes, who are going to go out on the dates. There's going to be a certain percentage who will cancel the dates. There'll be a certain percentage who will give you the number, and they'll never respond when you call or text them, and that's just the way it happens to be. But the bottom line is there are some women who like you, and there are some women who don't. And so you got to get past worrying about rejection and worrying about what other people think about you, because at the end of the day, most of the girls you like aren't going to feel the same way. I wish it was different. And anybody that's in the pickup and seduction community that says, "Oh yeah, you can have every girl," bullshit. That's the biggest BS that people use to sell you expensive tapes and CDs that aren't going to help you. So I got this quote here. Jack Canfield says, "Everything you want is out there waiting for you to ask. Everything you want also wants you. Take action to get it." Because sometimes you're going to be with a girl and she's not really going to be that into you. The date might not even be going that great. But then when you go in for the kiss and you make a move and you start making out, and then you'll notice she starts to really get into it, and then you end up sleeping with the girl. Whereas in the back of your mind, like 5 minutes before, you were thinking, "Oh man, I'm just going to give this girl a hug and I'm going to leave." That's why it's so important. You never know, because she starts making out, and she's human too. And she starts making out. It's like, wow, this guy's a really good kisser. And like, hey, I could be into this. Next thing you know, you're having sex. That's why it's best to go for it. But the longer you hesitate whether to ask a girl out, or the more dates you go out with a girl, and instead of kissing her because you're afraid you're going to get rejected, you give her a hug or you kiss her on the cheek. When you kiss a woman on the cheek and you keep doing it, she thinks you're only interested in friendship, or that you might be gay, or that you're just too weak to go for what you really want. And either way, the way you're acting is not acting like a dominant male. And a woman wants to mate. She wants to hook up with the most dominant male. She's not thinking, "Oh, gee, I want guys with dominant genes." We don't think like that. I'm just saying at a biological level, we are naturally, men and women, driven by our biological impulses to meet. It's like, as a guy, you want to get the best looking girl with the best body, the best boobs, the nicest hips, the nicest skin. You want to get the best that you can get for you, and that's totally understandable. But at a biological level, the things that are appealing about a woman, it's youth, beauty, fertility, ability to produce healthy offspring. That's typically what is driving our biological impulses to be attracted to one another. Everything you want is out there waiting for you to ask. Everything you want also wants you. Take action to get it. And so you have to get through the no's in order to get to the yeses, in order to get to the girls that will say yes to you. Now, when you start applying the stuff that I teach for the first time, you're going to be approaching a lot of women that you shouldn't be approaching in the first place, just because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know any better. But as the months go by and you practice this stuff over and over, you're going to get to the point where you're going to be able to look at a woman, and you're going to know whether or not you can hook up with that girl, you can have a chance at seducing that girl. And that only comes through time and practice. Repetition is the mother of skill. And so when you get to that place, your conversion rate for the girls that you're able to successfully seduce will go up dramatically, just because your eye contact with a woman will be your way of pre-qualifying them. In other words, if you don't see enough desire in her eyes for you, you're going to move on to the next. You can tell whether she's receptive to you, and if she's attracted to you, if she wants to talk to you, just by the way she looks at you. But the average typical guy that comes to my website, finds out about my book for the first time, it's really hard for them to recognize this stuff until you can read about it, and it sounds great, it sounds really easy, but unless you actually go out there and apply it, it's just a mental concept. And so when you see it with your own eyes and ears, that the things that I talk about in my book are actually real and it actually works, that builds your confidence to try more and more of the things, the techniques and the strategies that I teach. So I've got an email here, and so I'm going to go through it. He says, "Hey Corey, I viewed and I've listened to several of your videos and I found them very useful. Unfortunately, I still make many mistakes in my dating life because I'm not the most experienced guy and I only have had one girlfriend and she was pretty aggressive. So more than likely she had a real high level of attraction in you, and you just, for whatever reason, you did it for this particular girl. And so she obviously made a lot of the effort, pursued a lot. Probably she was a lot more into you, at least at first, than you were into her." So he says, "I went out on a date," and it's good when you meet women like that, because even despite you fucking things up, even though you're not really that into them, that will really help you show up and act confident enough and act in the right ways that you need to act in order to create attraction, to have her start chasing and pursuing you more, because her interest level is started out so high, maybe it's 7 and 8. In other words, she probably found you to be a 7 or 8, and she might have been a 5 or a 6 on your scale. And that can work to your advantage. And those situations are great because you get a lot of experience. There's a lot of things you can fuck up. And there's a lot of things you'll see that you'll do that are exact opposite of what I teach, and you'll still be able to get away with it. And it's only because the girl has a real high level of interest. But when you have women like that you can practice with and you can interact with, and they stick around despite you fucking things up, it really helps you fine-tune your game quickly. So when that chick comes along who knocks your fucking socks off, your game is tight, and you can do everything textbook, and after a couple of months, she'll be head over heels in love with you and want you to be her boyfriend. He says, "I went on a date with this one girl for drinks, and it seemed to go well, and then I ended it in a hug." He says, "I know you're going to bang on me for this because I was in a wimpy way to end it." He says, I wasn't sure when it was the right moment. Well, you've just spent an evening with this girl, and you've probably spent money. I mean, you took her out for drinks. And so you've probably spent an hour or two with this girl. You probably spent another hour or two getting ready, driving to and from the place. And so you probably got 4 or 5 hours of your valuable time, which you'll never get back, plus the money that you spent, plus all the mental energy that you put into thinking about this girl the whole time, leading up to and going out on the date, and then after the fact, wondering about it. See, if you'd have gone for the kiss and she'd have given you the cheek, you would have known, hey, there's no reason to call her or fret about her or think about her or give her any more mental energy. But when you don't do that, you walk away from the interaction and nothing's resolved. You don't know if she's going to go out with you again. You don't know if she really likes you. You don't know if you wasted your money or your time. It's like you don't really know anything in that case. And so then you gotta wait around 3-4 days, or whatever it is, a week, until you see her again. And so let's go a little further here. So he says, I wasn't sure when the right moment was. Anyhow, she reached out to me to go out to dinner later, and we went out on a second date. Well, that's good because it sounds like the girl had high interest. So even though you didn't go for the kiss, that's working in your favor. See, that's what I'm saying, is that the higher her interest is, the more things you can fuck up before she ditches you completely. But if she only perceives you as like a 5 or a 6 or just barely a 6, there's not a lot you can do to fuck things up before she's like, you're out of here, pal. So he says this time she was very open to setting the date and even said that she was free anytime. Well, that's a good sign, because the higher her interest goes and her attraction goes, the more flexible she becomes and the more open she'll make her schedule for you. He says, I was excited and we held hands and I even danced with her one-on-one. There was a moment we slow danced and she got embarrassed, but I think it was a good moment to try to kiss her because we held good eye contact. When you're doing that and you're holding eye contact and you're thinking, God, I wonder if this girl wants to kiss me, this is exactly what you do. Look at her lips and then into her eyes, just like I'm doing right now, and then down her lips as she's talking or you're talking. And it's just like a gentle thing where your eyes are kind of going up and down a little bit, just slowly over the course of 4 or 5 seconds. Now, if she wants to kiss you or she wants you to kiss her and get it over with, she's going to do the same thing. She's going to look right at your lips. And when a woman looks at your lips, it means she wants to kiss you. Just think about that. When a woman looks at your lips, it means she wants to kiss you. So in that particular moment, that's what you need to go for. But when she sees that and you're looking at her lips and you don't go for it, she can tell you're a pussy. And then her interest starts to plummet like a rock after that. He says, I was probably overanalyzing it and should have went for it. Yeah, you should have, dude. He says, we had some champagne and we ended the date in a full hug and I kissed her on the cheek. Yeah, she's thinking you're gay or you got no balls at this point. She was close enough to kiss in the lips, but I wasn't sure if she was ready. I know I probably should have held her back, looked at her lips, and gone for it, but I screwed up royally. I was like, well, at least you know where you fucked up. So he says, afterwards, I waited 2 days, and he says, I probably should have waited a day or two more, and texted her that we should check out some place she and I mentioned we agreed to check out. Some place with a view, and if she was free the following Sunday. I think she read the text and didn't reply. I invited her to an event that I am holding next month before the second date, and she RSVP'd yes after our second date, so I figured she was interested, so that's the reason why I texted her a day earlier than I probably should have. My question is this, should I text her again to go out again, or just not even bother unless she reaches out? If she does show up to my event, how should I react? Thanks for your advice, and I will definitely use your advice going forward without being a wuss. You sure about that, dude? So he says, so back to his question, should I text her again? It's like, absolutely not. You left her a message, and as far as she knows, I mean, think about this, dude. If you had other chicks in your life, and you had another girl that you were hooking up with, and you look, and you see there's a text, I miss you, I want to see you, I want you deep inside me again tonight. And then you got another girl going, I had a really great time the other night, can't wait to see you again. You got 2 or 3 of those, it's like, and they want to hook up again? Do you think you're going to care about a girl you haven't heard from in a week or two? I think not. And so if you were to reach out to this girl instead of waiting for her to call you back, then you're just going to simply confirm that you're a weak bitch to her. And you got no balls. You got balls the size of BBs. And all that's going to do is lead to friend zone and getting rejected. But, I mean, the bottom line is you knew you should have kissed this girl on the first date. But the reason being is that you waited too long to go for things and to progress things. And plus, here you're inviting her to meet you out and come to public events. The only time you should invite girls to do group things or come to your events or your seminars or things like that is that when she's a couple, when the two of you have been dating for several months and you're in a committed relationship with one another. And the reason I say that is because, especially if you're new to this stuff, like when you get around her friends or you get her around your friends and you guys aren't committed, it's really easy for somebody you know or one of her friends to get in the way and totally cock block you and just create problems that are totally unnecessary. Because at the end of the day, the whole process of seduction is to get closer and closer until you eventually end up inside of her. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask me, go to my website and click the Contact Me tab, which will be in the left-hand side of your screen. Send me 1 to 2 paragraphs maximum, and just give me several weeks to get back to you with a response. And if you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. And you can do that by going to my website, click the Products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.